What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes are back with another superstar from the sport of mixed martial arts. This cat's dabbled in all kinds of combat sports, MMA, kickboxing, back in MMA. Either way, if you look at his record, including a boxing match here or there, he's kicking ass. He's on a great win streak right now. Dustin Jacoby, and he's got a great fight coming up against Khalil Rountree on October 29th, UFC Fight Night. What's up, Dustin? How are you?
Good, man. How are you guys? Everything good your way?
Everything's great our way. But look at that beautiful backyard. Look at the beautiful day that you get to enjoy out there. Colorado, right?
Yeah, Colorado, man. The 10-day forecast is amazing right now this time of year. I look back on some memories, and we've had a foot of snow about this time before. So we're lucking out right now. Just moved into this beautiful place. I've been super busy. Otherwise, I'd be on a golf course somewhere, but I can't complain. I'm having a good time talking to you guys.
Thank you. Well, the feeling is mutual. Is you have like just a house with a big backyard, or do you have some sort of a ranch? Tell us, because
It's
that's
just a
beautiful.
yeah. It's just a house with a big backyard. The backyard's what sold us. The house is very nice too, but the backyard for my dog, who I'm sure you'll be seeing running around here throughout this interview, it loves it and we love it, and that's what sold us on the property.
Nice. All right. So listen, you've kind of really been paying your dues winning these fights. And I think that you versus Khalil Rountree should have a bigger spotlight than it already does. By that, I mean, like when I had to, you know, uh, go back and see who you got coming up on what date, I was like, man, how did this one sneak up on us? This is a great fight between two exciting strikers. And to me, it sounds like this could be like the breakout fight in terms of like you win, you grab the mic, and I mean now all of a sudden I could really, really see you on some sort of a pay per view popping.
I agree, man. Like you said, I've been paying my dues. It's been a long road. It's been an 11-year journey. Something that's really cool. I made my professional MMA debut, my UFC debut, October 29th, 2011.
Yeah,
And here I am fighting Khalil Rountree October 29th, 2022. So it's been one hell of a journey, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and a lot of perseverance, man, to get to where I'm at right now. But I feel like I've never been better in my career. And I think you're right. I have a great opportunity to go and showcase my skills against another great elite stand up striker in Khalil Rountree. And as I always say, may the best man win.
yeah, and sometimes I think, is there just too much MMA? Because on the one hand, like, one championship will pop in with a card, and Demetrius Johnson, he's trying to get a belt over there, and he's one of the all-time greats. Okay, we got to cover that. PFL makes this announcement: pay-per-view, 6 title fights. Marlon Moraes is back versus Shane Burgos. All right, we got to check that one out. You're familiar with PFL. Bellator, they just had a big show in Long Beach. So, and then the UFC keeps chugging along. Is there just too much MMA, or are the fighters, do they need to do a better job of standing out? Because again, this fight is a really solid fight that people can enjoy, and it should have some meaning going forward.
Well, I think it's great for the sport to have more promotions competing with the UFC. It gives a lot more opportunity to the fighters to go out and fight and make some money in bigger organizations. And, I don't think there's too much MMA. I tell you what, it is hard to keep up with. Even the UFC, they're kicking out cards every weekend. A lot of the times I'm unfamiliar with people on the card, but there's a lot of diehard fans out there that can't get enough MMA. And I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great for the athletes getting an opportunity to step onto a bigger stage and to make some good money.
Yeah. Well, all right. I see, like I said, I see this fight as something that really matters within your division. And the great thing is, both of you guys appeal to me, and I think to a lot of fighters, because the stand up, that's the strength to both of you guys. And apologies to all the wrestlers, all the jiu-jitsu guys. A lot of people, I would say a large percentage of people tune into MMA and they want to see what can be handled with the striking. Would you not agree?
Oh, I agree completely, man. That's one thing you've never seen two people going toe to toe, throwing bombs at each other. You've never heard the crowd boo. But you'll hear the crowd boo when you see a wrestler go in there and take a guy down, or maybe a jujitsu guy who only wants to work on the ground and they kind of stall out in certain positions, and then you'll start to hear the crowd boo. But as far as two elite strikers going toe to toe and throwing bombs, that's what gets the fans going. That's what gets the crowd going. And I'm excited to go in there and do that with Khalil Rountree. I think that he's got a lot of power, man. He's an experienced stand-up fighter, but if we're talking experience, man, I feel like I'm just light years above him in the experience factor because of my road to glory and my career with Glory Kickboxing. And he's an elite striker in MMA, but man, I fought some of the best strikers in the world, and that's why I'm excelling the way I am right now in the UFC and in my career because of the path I've taken. And I always say it, I've been through it to get to it, and I really learned how to fight in glory. And I was competing against the best guys in the world. So, and every time I fight, I want to represent those guys that I fought in glory. And now you see Alex Pereira. He's a guy I fought in glory. He's into MMA, fighting for the UFC title, 185 pounds, which is really cool to see a guy step in there from glory so quick and get that opportunity. But every time I compete, I want to put on for the fighters that I fought in glory and to prove that glory has the best stand-up fighters in the world.
I like it. Now, what just happened is a little bit of a setup. I really do mean what I say about you and Khalil. You guys are exceptional strikers. Your fights never suck, both of you, and that's why I think this fight, is one I'm really looking forward to in a few weeks. But however, I have seen things before where sometimes wrestling, believe it or not, can come into play, because it could be looked at as strategic. Now, whether it's someone just saying, hey, the other guy's got a skill that maybe I can exploit because he doesn't know that I've been working so amount of hours in the gym on my wrestling. Like Charles Oliveira, for example, is a dynamic Muay Thai fighter with great jiu-jitsu. But wow, I think what really kind of propelled him was his ability to start taking people down. So I
Yeah,
asked you,
for sure.
Dustin, how much do you still put into that and not cast aside the martial arts, the other sports that encompass MMA, just to keep them sharp and maybe use them when you need to?
Well, I tell you what, man, I train everything. It's MMA for a reason, mixed martial arts, and today I was at the gym for 3 hours and we just grappled the whole time. So, we're training everything. But when I go into the fight, every fight starts on the feet. I'm experienced on the feet, and I don't see Roundtree using his wrestling. Maybe I do. You've seen me against my fight in March, McCall Olajekski. I always butcher his name, and I hate that because I have a lot of respect for the guy, but I had to use a little bit of my cage wrestling in that fight. I even took him down once or twice, and I had to do what I had to do to get the win. But there's no doubt that it is MMA. The fight starts on his feet, and there's a chance we could go to the ground, and I'll be prepared for that. I've always said you'll never catch me shooting first, but then again, you just never know that there's. I could get rocked early, or I want to throw a curveball at him, but. I think it's going to be a great fight nonetheless, and I think the fans will enjoy it as well.
Dustin, it's human nature to think forward, right? When this matchup was brought up to you, was anything laid out as far as what a victory would do for you here, as far as the pecking order and all that?
Well, so when I first got this matchup, and mind you, I'll throw this out, and I'm kind of throwing him under the bus. Khalil Rountree had an opportunity to fight me in March when I fought in that UFC 272, and he declined. And that's when I ended up fighting McCall Olajekski. I think, again, I don't want to butcher that, but that's how I fought him. So I get my win in my last fight, and I move up to number 14. Thiago Santos, he leaves for the PFL, so I move up to number 13. Everybody bumped up one. And I was really hoping to get a top 10 opponent after my last fight, finishing the way I finished. I got my first performance bonus, um, and everything was going good. And then we had talked to the UFC about fighting Volkan Oezdemir, and he had just fought the week after I fought, and he beat Paul Craig. He was number 9. Paul Craig was number 8. So he beats Paul Craig, goes to number 8. Again, Thiago Santos leaves, so he goes to number 7. UFC's like, we love it. I love that fight. Let me reach out to Ozdemir's camp and see what they say. And he respectfully declined. Now his situation's a little different because he just beat number 8. So he's not necessarily looking at number 14 and looking backwards to fight me. He's got his eyes set forward, and rightfully so. But that was the path, man. I think in the top 10, that's a fight that I really want to get my hands on. Volkan Oezdemir, I think that's going to propel me to the next level, and I can go in there and beat a guy like that. And now, timing's everything. We're a fight or two away from, ultimately competing at the grand finale for the UFC light heavyweight championship. And it seems bizarre saying that, but like I said, timing's everything, and the light heavyweight division is wide open for the taking. With John Jones being gone, I feel like anybody in the top 10 has the ability to win that championship. So, I don't want to look past Roundtree. I certainly see myself getting my hands raised and moving forward, taking another step up the ladder and cracking into the top 10 and going from there.
So I am captivated by your background. Whenever we interview you, you're like the goat of backgrounds because you've been on a golf course before. You got this nice backyard. I'm trying to pick out the place for the swimming pool. And where I'm getting at is this. When I hear your name and Khalil Rountree, I think fight of the night. Is that something that ever pops up in your head when you hear an opponent? And where's that pool going?
So I tell you what, I've told all my family, my friends, right here where I'm sitting. I told them when I bonus off a Roundtree, and I'm not hoping for fight of the night. I'm hoping for just a performance bonus. Fight of the night means we both duked it out, and we're definitely going to duke it out. But if I had to choose, I'd rather get the performance. And right here where I'm sitting, I'm going to put a pergola and a hot tub. So it's not going to be a swimming pool, but I'm going to get a hot tub when I get that bonus. That's my plan.
I love it. That's a great plan. And you're working on 8 fights in a row in MMA, and I know you have a couple other in kickboxing. 7 in a row if we include just under the UFC banner. 6 in a row if we say, okay, well, one was Contender Series. I wouldn't do that, but let's just say anybody wanted to hate on you. That's a lot. You know what I mean? So hopefully on this one, you got yourself not only a good performance, we also want a good performance from Khalil, a great fight. But if you win, you got something ready to tell these people that are listening, because that I mean, let's not kid ourselves. That kind of is the path. That's why the announcers are always, asking you guys, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? Do you already kind of have a little bit of foresight of what you want going forward?
Not necessarily, but now that you said that, I'm really going to think on that. And I know what I was going to say. I want my opportunity at a top 10 opponent. I like you said, I'm on an unbeaten streak of 7-8, whatever it is. You got the draw in there. But I just want my opportunity to face the top 10. Like I said, I started in glory, man. I came from nothing and I rose. I took my beatings like a man. I took my lickings. I kept getting back up. I kept persevering and eventually climbed into the top 10. And I got all the way to number 2, and I fought for a world title against, at the time, pound for pound, one of the best in the sport, Simon Marcus. And, I was very proud of myself. Ultimately, I didn't get that title. I didn't win the title, but I was able to fight for it. And twice. The first time I was a hard fought decision. The second time I broke my arm, unfortunately. But since then, man, I've been on one hell of a run, and I have a lot of experience under my belt, and I'm not getting any younger. And I'm going to enjoy my time here with UFC and enjoy this ride. But, I'd like to go in there. I'd like to finish Roundtree, get on the mic and call out any top 10 opponent. And respectfully so, I don't want to, just start. Again, Volkan Oezdemir is a guy that I really want, and I know everyone has their own career path, and he may be matched up with somebody else. Maybe he isn't right now, but I know our division's starting to get booked up. I saw Jan is fighting Ankalaev. I saw Johnny Walker is fighting. Who is he fighting? Is he fighting Ryan Spann, or who is Ryan Spann fighting? I think one of those guys are both recently got matched up. So I think I get on the mic and I just call out a top 10 opponent, and I think that I will get that opportunity.
Yeah, I think Johnny Walker's fighting Paul Craig. I think that's
That
what I
that
saw.
was it. That was it. Yep. And then Ryan Spann, was he booked up with anybody?
I don't remember seeing that, but it might
Let
have
me
slipped
check.
my
Okay.
mind.
And again, man, if I'm being honest, I want to bypass those guys. I think they're right at 11, right at 12. I want to skip them, and I want to get somebody, 8, 7, 8, 9, and from there, you're one fight away potentially from a title shot. So that my goal this year was to have 3 fights, to get 3 wins, and to get into the top 10. And unfortunately, I don't think that top 10 is going to happen with a win over Roundtree because he's ranked below me. But I'm going to be knocking on the door, and I think my first fight of 2023 will be a top 10 opponent, and I'll have some new goals for that year. you never know, man. This sport's crazy, and you guys know as well as I do, timing's everything. And I'm hoping that my stars are aligning.
Well, the nice thing is you will get your third fight in 2022, and if we go back to last November, you'll get 4 in the past year. You know, if you go that way. But one thing I wanted to ask you was, you fought on ABC. You got a stoppage and everything. What was that like? You know, to me, when I was growing up, it was this show called Wide World of Sports. It was on ABC. That's why the guys were yelling, wearing yellow jackets, if you recall. A lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
thought we got side gigs at Hertz or something like that, but no, the yellow jackets was a throwback to Wide World of Sports. But for
for
you,
sure.
did you notice amongst your casual friends and family that maybe you got a few more eyeballs on your fight on ABC?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I had a lot more people talking about it. Even after that fight, there was a lot of places I went, people recognized me and knew who I was. So I understand the magnitude of the event, and that is super cool, man. I always said when I was a little kid, I'd grow up and be a professional athlete. I had no idea it'd be MMA, but I'd be fight, but I would be, you know, a star and on TV. You know, that's what happened that night. I think the Hanyak kind of turned into a little bit of a star, and I never let that get to my head though, man. I don't think about that too much. I just think about going in there, getting the win, providing for my family, and ultimately just being the best version of myself that I can be inside the octagon.
Well, if for some reason you do want to match up with the winner of Walker and Craig, here's a little outline for your post-fight speech, right? And you know, the UFC is going to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in January. I don't know if you think
Yeah,
that's too quick of a turnaround. That's 3 months. A lot of fighters like that. But maybe Walker, if he wins in January. And I'm hearing Leon Edwards is going to defend versus Kamaru Usman in March in the UK. Sounds like maybe Birmingham, England, or just England. Paul
there
Craig
you
is
go.
Scottish. So maybe
That's right.
if you play the road warrior and say, I'll take the winner of either of these two, you know that. But the key would be get on that pay-per-view. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. And the guy I ultimately want is Volkan Oezdemir. So I'm hoping, and that could be a good UK fight too. I think he's, you know, he's sweet European anyway. So maybe we can get over there. But you know, Paul, the winner of Paul Craig and Johnny Walker, that's one I have to put in my back pocket as well. And now you got me thinking about this mic appearance. When I get the win, I'm gonna have to have some good things written down and ready to roll.
Well, that's what we're here for. Because you know, Goes and I, we've been covering the sport for a long time, and the last thing we hate to see is when a fighter reaches the end of their career, and we hope that after all the blood, sweat, and tears, you guys have
You
some
got
bags. You
I'm
there?
back. I'm back. I'm telling you, this Wi-Fi at the new play, the house is awesome. The Wi-Fi sucks. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, no worries.
Really.
I was just saying, we just hope that at the end of fighters' careers, you guys have enough bags to take care of your families, you know, because all the wear and tear on your bodies and everything you go through. So
You know
that's why
that,
we're trying to push you guys to maybe make these certain call outs and promote these fights, because they catch fire on Twitter. Sometimes the matchmakers like what they see, and boom, it's there. And more important than anything, it's what you want. You know what I mean? So if you tell them what you want and you get it, even better. And that way they're not shipping you off to undercard in Singapore or something like that.
hey, you're exactly right, man. I often say it's a line I heard by Little Wayne. He said, "It's not about what you walk away from; it's about what you walk away with." And you're exactly right, man. That's my goal right now is to get everything I can out of this sport and to make it at the top, get a piece of that title, to be able to, you know, make it worth it, make the you know the whole journey worth it. And so far, it's playing out, man. And like I said, a lot of perseverance, a lot of just putting your head down and keep going, and a lot of bulletproof confidence and short term memory, man. You know, as fighters, there's only one guy. The two guys step in. There's only one guy that's going to eat, and there's only one guy that's going to win. And you know, we're paid to show up. We're paid to win. So ultimately, if you can go in there and snatch that before your opponent does, I think your family will be happy.
Yeah. Well, I'm pumped for this fight, Dustin. And we want to
Yeah, me
thank you
too,
for your
man. Like you
time.
said, Roundtree's a durable, tough opponent. I know he's going to bring it. I think he's going to have a little chip on his shoulder, wanting to show that you know he's the stand-up king. He's got better Muay Thai, and I welcome that, man. And like I said, I'm going in there and defending the glory ranks and defending the best stand-up fighters in the world motto.
He ended the fight with a linear kick once. Did you see it? And what are your thoughts on that technique?
Yeah, so I mean, to each their own. Obviously, I don't like that technique, especially in training. It's something that some guys may do in training, but they do it light. They never do it all out. In a fight, it is legal. I can't sit here and knock on him. He used a legal weapon
Yeah.
to his advantage, and kudos to him, man. So at the end of the day. That's a pretty cool way to win a fight too. If it's the rules are the rules, and he didn't break any, so kudos to him.
Yeah. All right. By the way, I looked it up real quick as well. Oezdemir is Swiss, and he's fighting Nikita Krylov. I think actually 1 week before you, so the timing might even
Oh,
work out for that
perfect,
matchup.
perfect, man. Well, thanks for the heads up. I'm a little behind. I've been super busy with this new place that there was a lot of new matchups recently announced that I wasn't aware of. So I got to get back on my game.
That's why you got to jump on the MMA Junkie app, baby. It's free
Oh,
on
I
all
look
mobile
at it.
phones
Hey,
and
I look
tablets.
at it daily. I just kind of scan through. I don't know, man. I've just been missing it.
By the way, if we ask Oezdemir who he's rooting for between Rountree and Jacoby, do you think he'll answer us? Or do you think he'll stay neutral?
Well, I don't know if he'd have an opinion. Honestly, he may not. Again, he's those guys in the top 10. They're not looking backwards. At least I hope not. And maybe he doesn't even know who I am. But I certainly know who he is, and I got my eyes on him and my eyes on everybody in the top 10. And the only guy I would not fight, I publicly say that, is Anthony Lionheart Smith. He's a longtime buddy of mine, training partner, and we come from the same cloth. We've had a long journey to the top, and I really look up to that guy. He's helped me out a lot, and um, yeah, he's a guy that we've come this far. There's no point. We were actually scheduled to fight each other earlier on in our careers, and it never came to fruition. And Chris Camozzi's another good buddy of mine, had 20 plus UFC fights. I did fight Chris in the UFC, and I became good buddies and training partners afterwards. But he was signed to fight Lionheart Smith as well, and that never happened. So he's the only guy in the top 10 that I'm not going after. And like I said, there's plenty of other fish in the sea that I can get and get after.
Yeah, there's a lot of great fighters out there still. Dominic Reyes, Jamal
Oh,
Hill.
for
So
sure.
there's
Yeah,
plenty of names. And but first things first, you versus Roundtree. We've covered this guy since he was an amateur here in Vegas. He's solid, and
he
that's
is
why.
solid, man. And I love fighting him because all my teammates for the past month, several of them, when I first got this matchup, they're like, yo, you're fighting Roundtree? No way, that guy's a killer. And like, I'm not gonna talk smack on Roundtree. I think he is solid. I think he's good. I think I'm better. And the cool thing is I get an opportunity to go prove that. And I like that. I like when everybody sees my opponent and thinks, this guy's a killer and real good, because it's gonna make me feel good when I get the win. So like I said, man, hats off to him. May the best man win. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity.
Thanks for the time, Dustin. It's always great catching up with you, man. We
Yeah.
wish you the best with the remaining training camp, safe weight cut, and go have one hell of a fight on October 29th.
I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry for the Wi-Fi issues, and hopefully we'll get that fixed. And next time it won't be an issue. But thank you for having me on the show, and I'm looking forward to putting on a performance for you and everybody else.
Thank you, sir. Take care.